welcome to the first episode of Full Circle. I am Nabhan Kareem, and with me are Ehsan Ali and Rahul Ajaz, and we'll be talking about all things film, TV, and entertainment. Um, Before I introduce myself, I would like to introduce Ehsan, or have Ehsan introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Essen. I'm a filmmaker. I love movies and everything in between. I don't know, I'm doing a very stupid job of introducing myself. But I always wanted to have a show where we can talk about movies and TV shows with just friends and not make it very personal about it, because I like that. Like, I think I want a show where when you're exiting the cinema and you are talking with your friends on your way to the car, I want that conversation to be the show.
So very personal, in fact.
So,
No, like honest. I won't say honest. Yeah.
so that means you consider Rahul your friend now.
Oh, sweet.
We'll find out.
So Rahul,
Okay.
who are you?
Introduce myself. I am, nobody. But, yeah,
There's someone.
someone. Yeah, of course. But, I was trying to be humble. But, yeah. I'm a film graduate, photographer, journalist, film critic. And, that's and I teach at CBM. Right.
yeah.
So, that's
And,
pretty much what I
I'm
do.
Nabhan.
Yeah, I'm Nabhan. I am a filmmaker. I look after the media production side at IOBM, and just like you, I just wanted a place where we can discuss
Yeah.
films and see where this conversation takes us. The reason why I got the three of us
Yeah.
together is because all three of us have a very different outlook to film.
Yeah.
I'm I'm more into the commercial aspects of film. I prefer watching commercial films, or even when it comes to producing or making films, I look at the commercial aspect to it. Rahul is on the opposite extreme, where he is
radical.
radical.
That's too mainstream
yeah.
cinema.
And he's
Beep, beep, beep.
very much into art. Artistic films.
Well,
the
art house,
the art
more
of the
nice, yeah.
art house films,
Hmm.
and you are somewhere in the middle.
Anything that you wouldn't like, I would like.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Or you wouldn't have heard of, I
Yeah.
would like.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you are
Yes,
somewhere in the middle,
somewhere
where
in the
you
middle.
appreciate a little bit of both.
I
and
appreciate good movies, like I
Yeah.
said before. It doesn't matter if they're like 200 million or like $5,000.
Mhm.
I don't care.
Or 5,000
Yeah.
rupees.
Yeah.
Why are you saying dollars?
यार समझा कर
Value ज़्यादा जा रही है,
But-
dollars value भी बढ़ रहा है.
But I mean, which makes it an interesting conversation, because none of the perspectives are wrong, and
Yeah.
But
everyone.
you
because-
both are already.
but the good thing is we're talking about all the point of views for watching a movie.
Exactly.
One might like it, one might not like it, one is like
Mm.
indifferent. So
yeah.
you're gonna get to hear all three different perspectives rather than just hearing one side story. Oh, I love it. Oh no, I hate it.
But so we're. I mean, we I know we just talked about movies, but
Yeah.
but the same goes for TV shows as well.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of the shows that we've been discussing, I mean, we all enjoy watching those
Yeah.
together. So TV shows kind of give that. TV shows are somewhat, or most TV shows are somewhat in that middle ground where they're neither that commercial aspect to it, or the
Yeah.
they're
Most of them, yeah.
they're a little bit in the middle, so I mean, and these days I think TV shows have started holding a higher value
Yeah.
in terms of
Absolutely, yeah.
or
The-
what people are
More
consuming
than
now.
movies,
The-
yeah.
more than
the
movies.
streaming services have allowed TV to really hone into what we love about TV. It's just spending time with characters and at once.
Yeah.
That's what amazing about
And
streaming.
in your house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I think.
I mean,
Yeah.
TV
one of the
was
reasons.
always in our house, but
course.
I
Yeah.
guess
But the whole streaming platforms now.
the whole
Yeah.
on-demand platform,
Yeah.
and watching it anytime,
You
anywhere.
don't have to wait for
Yeah.
something.
You can literally
at a
spend
certain
12
time,
hours
yeah.
with your favorite characters in like one day.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yes.
like, I
Yeah.
think everyone did.
So
Lucifer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we I mean, in that sense, I mean, streaming has basically redefined what television
Yep.
is.
Yeah.
Not just for TV shows, but
Yeah.
also for movies. as well. But more
Yeah.
importantly for TV shows, because the actual structure of TV shows has
Yeah.
kind of changed. I mean,
Yeah.
if you watched, watching TV shows a few years back,
Mm.
it was very different. You had to watch it at a certain time, or
Yeah.
then or wait
Oh,
to
yeah.
watch it, and you couldn't really invest yourself in characters,
Yeah.
except for a few shows where you did.
Yeah.
But
But that's the beauty of streaming service. Like now we're getting into like an age of mini series.
yeah,
So like a few years ago, like A Night Off came, like a
Mhm.
bunch
Mhm.
of like episodes, just one series of episodes and you're done.
yeah.
Very similar to like Black Mirror
Yeah.
or and,
Oh, yeah.
and
So
the
HBO has done a good job
Yeah,
in
come
doing
back to
that,
that.
because they've I mean, they've been doing it for a while now
yeah.
with their streaming platform, and other platforms have started to catch up to
Yeah.
it. Any
HBO.
show you saw?
Like the only show I've been recommending to almost every random person I'm meeting, and that is Chernobyl.
Oh,
It
Like,
is-
गली में रुक के मतलब, hey,
Like,
Chernobyl.
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Whoever I'm meeting, please watch
Signal पे
this.
गाड़ी रुकी है,
And-
just
and
roll
the-
down the window, Chernobyl
And the
देखो.
good thing about is I don't have to do that anymore because everyone knows about the show.
Yeah.
The word of mouth for this show has been, I think I've never seen an episode or like a TV show or an episode just take off just on word of mouth. Never saw a post, never saw a
Mm.
poster or anything. It just came
Yeah, that's true.
and just destroyed everything.
and it's pretty
And Russians
pretty
hate it.
good show. I mean, it was
It's one of the best
um,
shows I've ever seen. I'm like,
That's true.
I'm putting it
and
out
also
there.
very well produced, especially
Oh
for
my god! Like for like mini series
For
aspect,
miniseries,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Oh, yeah.
And I was kind of sad, like it was
The direction
First-
of it, man.
no,
Yeah.
like I was kind of sad that it was a mini series. I'm like, oh shit, I only have 10 episodes. But then I checked the IMDb. No, I only have 5.
episodes.
What the?
But
Like,
then I
really?
mean, how much can you, how
So
much
this-
can you go with that?
Milk it,
This
yeah.
is what I love. I think this is the great thing about the show is it knows what it is
Hmm.
and it doesn't like shy away from anything and it doesn't care about anything else.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah.
have one through line, and I love that line. What's the cost of
And
life?
it doesn't drag.
And
Doesn't
That's
just
what I
it
li-
knows कि हाँ 5 episode की
Yeah.
story है, and
Yeah.
you start with the fact that the
The end
blast has
yeah,
already
yeah,
happened.
It's
exactly.
happened. I
Yeah.
mean,
That's not important.
yeah,
And they
that's
don't-
not what you're leading
and
up to.
what I loved
This is
about
what
it,
you
they
begin
don't,
with.
Yeah.
and let me just say that there will be spoilers.
Yeah,
but,
spoilers, please.
Yeah, but I what I love about this is that they started the show and they didn't even show the blast.
Yep.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
shown from a distant window that there is a light.
I think it
And-
made more impact
Yeah, it
because
did.
of that.
It
Yeah.
left a mystery, right?
Yeah.
We knew we even going into the show, you have some idea about what the
course.
show is about. It's about
Yeah.
a real life event that happened in Soviet Union.
And a lot of people. I mean, it's such a big historical event that
Yeah.
a lot of people already know about it.
Yeah.
Everyone kind of sort of knows the outcome and all of that.
People knows like a disaster.
Yeah,
happened. They
disaster.
don't know the
The details
significance
of it,
of this
yeah.
event.
and that's what I think
That's what I love about
and that's what I think they explored, because
Yeah.
they didn't go into there was a power plant and
Yeah.
it blew up,
Yeah.
because people knew that. They didn't focus on so many people died, because people know that.
Yeah.
They focused on everything in between, and that's what I kind of loved about.
What
Cost of lives.
is the cost
Yeah.
of lives? The first line of
Exactly.
the series and the last line of the series.
But and
Damn.
yeah, and one thing that did bother me at
Yeah.
the start, but I think they did such a beautiful job in capturing you in it, was the fact that they were English actors
Yeah.
speaking in English
English accent.
in an English accent,
Yes.
and there was randomly someone talking in Russian and all of that, but somehow you kind of got convinced that they are Russian, and
How amazing of a show you have to be that the fact that you're not even speaking their native language with native like actors
yeah,
with native accents, and still is such a good show. Like
Exactly.
That's the thing,
that's
yeah,
that's
yeah.
the mind-boggling part, because I was feeling the same thing in the pilot episode. I was like, yeah, okay, I would love some authenticity, like something like
Authenticity, yeah.
like. And by the second episode, I was like, I don't care.
No, you
Yeah.
don't really.
because
I
you
don't
got,
There's so much
care.
else
you're
to
so
focus
invested.
on.
You're so invested in the story that you're
The
like
Performances, man.
Oh,
like,
brilliant.
Holy shit.
Stellan
Stellan,
Skarsgård.
yes,
Oh
yes.
man, what
Skarsgård
a
was amazing.
Like there's so many like even smaller actors that like I loved episode 3 specifically for the actor who was in Dunkirk as well, the guy who was the new recruit to
Oh,
shoot
yes,
in the
yeah,
dogs.
yeah.
Like he was the audience if one
Yeah.
of them
True
were
that, true.
sent to Chernobyl to do
Yeah.
the cleaning up part,
And I love the coal miners.
Oh,
Oh,
they
yeah.
were
He was a
brilliant.
legend, man. Yeah.
That
Like,
guy.
Still wearing the FN hats.
like I love I love those characters. I love the whole series because absolutely one thing is that everyone when told what happened, how bad the situation was, people had no choice
Yeah.
to even think about, okay, like, I'm not going in.
Hmm.
They just knew that. And I like, even with the coal miners
The duty
aspect,
call. Yeah. They
like,
just performed
when
what
he
they
asked
were asked to. Yeah.
when he asked about the gas mask, he's like, if this was working, you
Yes.
would have been wearing it. I'm like, bam, yes,
Absolutely.
dialogues,
Yeah.
storytelling, exposition, everything
Yes.
in one thing. Absolutely amazing. And like, every episode had its own story, own arc,
yeah, the
every
own arc.
structure. Every episode introduced like a disaster element that needed to be dealt with. Like the opening thing was
Of
the
course.
putting off the flames. Then it was about burying the reactor. Then it was about like taking out the water. So step by step, they built up the whole the stakes for this series. I
Oh,
have
yeah.
They grew. and
never
they grew,
seen.
even though the main thing has already
Exactly.
happened.
Exactly.
But the stakes grew as with like each episode.
I think this is the beauty of the show. Is like
Because also the disaster wasn't the blast itself; it was
Yeah.
everything that happened.
consequences
Yeah.
of it that
Yes.
would have
Yeah.
happen like 100 years from now. And what I love about this show is like they address it with the series is that this was such a big disaster that even the ego for Soviet Union couldn't hide it.
True.
Yeah.
Like, because like the Swedish people like, bro,
Yes.
ये क्या scene है यार, यहाँ पे हमें
Yeah.
टिटर हो रहा है हमारे
हमारे-
हमारी
And
मीडिया
that's
मसले आ
like
रहे हैं।
600 kilometers
exactly.
away.
So
yeah.
I'm like wow.
Yeah.
And I love I just saw another meme pretty brilliant when they send a rover to put out the
Yeah.
graphite
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
the roof, and then the Stellan Skarsgård says they gave them the propaganda number. I'm like, that is such a good line. Like them even knowing this is not gonna work, they still went ahead and ordered the robot from I don't know which European country, and they're like, ek button dabaya, poof. I'm like wow, like it was like I
And
haven't
the sound design of it,
Oh,
like that was
the
beautiful.
music.
Exactly.
Oh my
Oh,
god!
brilliant.
It just makes you so uncomfortable.
But-
It's
and
a
'cause it
horror
was-
movie.
no, and it was
Trope
because
that you use.
because it
yeah,
was-
The scene in the basement with the water. Oh
Yes,
my
man, holy
god! The
shit.
flashlight.
Didn't
That was
the sound
amazing.
design or music remind you a lot about Dunkirk? It was
Well,
it,
it-
was
it did,
it had
and-
those silent elements in
yep,
it.
Yep. And I haven't checked it out properly, but I have heard that they went to actual nuclear reactors to get the rhythm pattern of the pipes and everything to incorporate within the show. Not the actual, I'm assuming, Chernobyl, because that is quarantined off.
Okay, yeah.
But like
I
other
would hope so.
reactors.
But people are still going there.
Yeah. People, yeah,
Now
like, yeah,
they're
that's something
just
that,
the
that
whole
we can
Insta
talk
is full
about
of
if
it,
you
yeah,
want. Hey,
yeah.
Mr. Producer, I think that's your generation, right? Nothing.
I mean, it's called dark tourism, and
Yeah.
there's a show on Netflix
Yeah.
before you came. I showed to
Oh,
Rahul.
okay.
There's an episode in it where they actually it's about dark tourism where people go to all these dangerous places
Sorry.
and they actually it's part of it's a tourist attraction.
Of course.
So they so when the nuclear reactor in Japan
Yeah.
exploded
Yeah,
because
yeah,
of the tsunami.
Yeah.
So there's a whole episode on Japan and then
Nice.
they're going to those
Yeah.
places and how dangerous it is, even being in the exclusion zone.
Yeah.
But people are going, and I feel, I mean, shows like this, although really brilliant and all of that,
Yeah.
I feel shows like this also promote.
Yeah, even more dumbass
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
going into
Basically, I
and
mean,
killing
Hassan
after
is-
Chernobyl,
But you know
Hassan
what?
is
after
going to go
Chernobyl
there.
was
But-
released, there's been a report that
You
a lot
know,
of people have started going there, and
Yes,
the
yes.
authorities are trying to stop them.
Honestly, more power to them. Natural selection at its best. Let them fight.
And the funny thing, apart from the dark tourism thing, Russia is actually making its
They're
own
remaking-
version
Yeah,
of
And they're,
because,
Chernobyl.
they're
yeah.
blaming CIA or something.
Yes,
Yeah, they're saying
yes.
didn't happen. And
Yeah, American spies, they messed
I would
with our
love
power
that
plant.
HBO just puts out one meme, the Kermit the Frog's K.
Yeah.
but it is pretty interesting. But because obviously, I mean, if you do look at it, it is a perspective of the British and Americans
Yeah,
in the
well.
show, and I'm sure this is based on accurate.
That's the thing. I don't agree with that because
No, I'm
like,
saying this is based on accurate stories, but I'm saying it'll be interesting to see their side of the story as well, because now that you've
it will be a propaganda show.
because
it's gonna be a lie, but I hope that it's at least as engaging as this one.
No,
I agree with that.
No, because they do talk about the Soviet Union propaganda and all of that, and it'll be great to see it
from
their point of view, and it might just reveal some
new information.
It'll probably be very creatively written and very strategically written, but obviously it'll be a nice perspective to see what happens.
So I like why I kind of disagree with I'm not gonna disagree. I'm just gonna say I think this show does like a really good pays a really good respect to the people who were part of that, because I follow the writer and producer of that show. He continues to just post retweets the messages that he's been receiving and pictures. He just posted this morning he posted an article from Russia that people are revisiting the graves of Legaskov and the Boris character.
Legasov,
and putting flowers on them.
Yes.
So I'm like, that's amazing. And
I mean, obviously, I'm not saying that the British and the American filmmakers they lied about it. I'm just saying because it's
their point of view.
It's an outside perspective, right?
Their storytelling style and Hollywood
so it'll be interesting to compare it to how the Russians do it. What they hide, what they don't, and one thing interesting about Chernobyl is that they base the entire stories on the show on a book. Which is based on memoirs and stories by the actual people who were affected by it. So these are very accurate stories and an accurate way to tell things. But yeah. So and then if you. So after each episode released, the filmmakers they released a podcast after that to discuss.
Oh, did you watch that?
Yeah.
I sent that in the group, right?
Yeah, I think you did. Yes.
Yeah, and so. It was a very interesting insight into all the process and all of that, and a lot of things that you actually miss out. They talk about it, and I mean one thing I really wanted to talk about was visually. It was such a beautiful, beautifully made show. Because. Sometimes you watch shows and episode to episode you forget what happened in the previous episode. And one thing that really hit me, and I want you guys to share what affected you the most. But one thing that really hit me in the first episode, end of the first episode, they show this montage of the people on the bridge. The beautiful thing was that montage was so well made, and it was so engaging, and it happened in the first episode. And they're kids running around, and they're and it's ash, but it looks like it's snowing.
Exactly,
and they're playing in it and all of that.
And it was a spectacle for them.
And then you watch it in the first episode, and you're like, okay, and you kind of know that, alright, these guys will not survive, right? And then you next episode you move on, and you don't think about that. But then end of the last episode, when they show the aftermath, the credits. And the image comes where everyone on the bridge of death died. You immediately think about every single visual.
That's true.
Every single visual.
It comes full circle.
Yeah, exactly. And every single and no, but that's
I got your back, buddy.
That's such a powerful storytelling element, because especially for TV shows. You end up not remembering all aspects of or maybe certain scenes you might not remember after you watch certain episodes.
But then it takes you back.
But this immediately those visuals came back, and it's a testament
to
how well made those visuals were. That with just one image,
that's true,
and it just the entire scene plays back in your head.
Like, this is what I love about storytelling. Is like, I think because of the background of the story, the real life events, the stakes were so high that these they were literally like really like throwing graphite off the roof.
Yes.
So like you can't make shit up like that. Like the shot of the chopper coming into
Right,
the
yes,
cloud
Yes.
and like slowly like losing control. I'm like, oh yes, let's go. Because like stakes. Like
Yeah.
the pilot's like, अब क्या करे यार?
Exactly, yeah.
Try it थोड़ा दूर से होके आओ.
No, that was insane. The one of the first firemen who
Oh man.
fireman who
that-
comes up and he actually touches the graphite and he's
the-
like, holy shit,
the
what's happening to
progression
me?
of that guy
yeah.
slowly decaying.
Man,
I haven't seen
that was the most
Effects work.
uncomfortable I've been in any series.
Like-
I think in the last several
And-
years. I would
And you
say.
watch a lot of like disturbing movies.
I do. That's the thing. Like you can,
you know
you
you know why that hits?
tear a man apart in front of me and I would not flinch.
You-
But
You-
any kind of body horror with like blisters and all this
You know
shit
why-
coming out
why this
and
hits?
it's oozing, that was horrible.
It hits because of his wife.
Yeah. Because we have a different perspective.
And
when
also-
she
Like,
starts,
we are led
when she
into their
starts
world. Yeah.
lying to him about where he is in Falana Dimkana
Yeah.
in the second or third episode, I'm like, yaar, jeet gayi baaji aap.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Then also it hits you because you're like, they actually went through this.
That's
This
the
actually-
thing, right?
No,
It's
but like
actually-
even if you remove the history behind it and the authenticity
Yeah.
behind it,
Mm.
the plain visual of
Yeah, that's the performances
that
and
was
everything. Yeah.
no the makeup and the whole
Prosthetics
thing.
and everything,
Yeah, the whole thing that was very uncomfortable for me to watch. to be
मेरी तो
honest.
फट गई थी because I realized that there's a nuclear plant very close to where we are in Karachi.
Yeah,
So,
it's
Shit.
Hawksby, right?
उससे आगे,
Thing.
yeah,
Hawksby,
little- yeah. I was like,
Yeah, ना हमारे
There's a
That's,
meme.
अपने प्रोड्यूसर को भेज देंगे.
There's a meme like it's like a board of like directions, like street directions, and it says like a nuclear power plant and then like spider farm. I'm like, that's a disaster waiting.
Man.
Right? Like, don't do
Holy
that, please. Whoever thought of this, like stop.
yeah. So I mean, I actually got scared, and
Yeah.
I mean that's where this film or this series is
Series.
also kind of like a very educational.
It's still like
film
the,
where like
Mm.
learn something from this.
the
and then-
themes, the themes, and the lessons that should have been learned then are still being asked right now. Okay, bhai, like fake
Exactly.
news and like propaganda shit and like lies and like
Because we don't really
authority
learn.
and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
and like the history repeats itself. Wali
Yeah,
line,
of
like
course.
it's like, but like, ah man, it's such a good show.
no, and it
I'm sorry to cut you off. Like the creator said like in the podcast, like I think it's in the end titles as well. I think Gorbachev was the premier's name, right?
Yeah.
So when he was about to die or after the fall of Soviet Union, he was kind of saying like Chernobyl was the first catalyst of the downfall of Soviet
Oh,
Union.
yes.
Yeah.
That was at the.
That was the
yeah.
main thing that
Not the
led to
main
the
thing. The
fall.
first
The sign.
Like
hole.
that started
yeah.
it.
hole in the
Yeah,
system because
yeah.
they
Yeah.
could up till
They
then.
couldn't contain it. Yeah,
Yes,
of course.
that's
Yeah.
that's what I
That was
love about
the-
it. The cost of
Blew up,
lies.
yes.
Every lie incurs a debt to the truth that will
So-
be
Yeah.
paid. I'm like,
So one thing I want to talk about
Yeah.
is the distribution of it. I mean, a lot of people have been watching it and stuff, but it's on a very, if you think about it, it's
HBO.
on HBO, which is a very limited audience on
Yep.
its own.
Yep.
And HBO has kind of, I mean, it has a streaming service. It's been relying on the streaming service, but they don't really care about how it ends up being distributed. I mean,
Yeah.
we saw it with Game of Thrones. They don't care
Yeah.
that people are.
I didn't want to
pirating
use
the
that
hell out of
word
it, yeah.
because one of the actresses on the bridge scene is in the episode 5 of Game of Thrones when Danny is like doing his bombing run.
Yeah.
It's like a very short-haired bandi with a kid.
Oh, okay, yeah.
She is the same
Oh.
actress in
Oh.
the bridge scene.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that it's people are still accessing
Yeah.
these shows and
Yeah.
watching them.
Yeah.
Chernobyl saved HBO like a shit ton of money because everyone
Yeah.
was canceling their subscription
After Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
yes.
And they did a really smart move of putting episode 1 of Chernobyl with episode 5. So episode 2 came when
Last
just after the finale.
Yeah.
So like people got a little taste of Chernobyl and they're like, okay, chal 4 hafte aur de denge.
Yeah. so do you know what HBO is coming out with next?
I think they are coming out with Watchmen, the comic book series.
Mhm.
They're gonna come out with Westworld season 3
Oh,
with
yes.
Aaron Paul, Breaking Bad fans. Like,
Nice.
yeah, I'm like, so like,
I've yet to watch season 2 though. How was it? The thing is, I thought I would watch season 2 because after revisiting season 1 because it's so much. There's so much going on in season 1.
One of the best series of
absolutely
television ever made.
Freaking Anthony Hopkins.
So HBO will retain its customer base.
I think so
for a while.
They're good. They're good.
But let's talk about the streaming giant, Netflix. They've opened themselves to the world, and they're very much everyone's every everyone is a producer was sleeping. Everyone is so everyone around the world is on
everyone
Netflix.
wants their own subscription service.
And so Netflix has done a good job in reaching the global audience, which is also somewhat they've been able to do something that HBO didn't, was to control the piracy of the shows to a certain extent. They still, they can't.
There's a will, there's a way,
exactly. People will still want to save
the Pakistani way.
Yeah, even not in Pakistan, but other countries as well. But they've still done a good job in opening it up, where it's become convenient to just pay.
Everyone has Netflix in Pakistan. I'm like genuinely surprised. I'm like, okay, I think the deal with PTCL, I think if anyone doesn't know about it, you can pay your bills, Netflix bill with PTCL. Handy tip for you guys.
It's easy.
Yeah,
so convenient.
So it's become a very easier access.
Convenience
is easier.
over anything.
Exactly.
Customer will always gravitate toward convenience.
So coming to Netflix, you watch any shows?
I actually did. My Eid was spent watching Black Mirror. I thought it would make my Charlie Brooker would make my day, but he didn't actually. I was quite disappointed with the.
I thought you were gonna say
so this time Black Mirror did something different rather than have.
They have been trying to do something different with each new season, which is good. I like the fact that they're exploring new genres, and it is risky, and I like the fact that Charlie Brooker is willing to do that. Take that risk.
Doing Bandersnatch as well.
Yeah, Bandersnatch was amazing. I absolutely loved
surprisingly,
it. That was amazing.
Which is also going to take Netflix to the next level with this interactive storytelling.
You versus Wild was their next series with Bear
but it wasn't as engaging as.
Okay.
I watched like a couple of episodes of that. It played a couple of episodes of that, but it wasn't as engaging as obviously Bandersnatch. Bandersnatch was some.
So there were 3 episodes of this. Which one? Before we go into explain it, just which one was your favorite?
None of them actually, to be
honest.
Which
one did you
which one did you like?
See, there were bits and pieces in all 3 of them which I liked.
So I'll get back to that. Which one did you like?
I really liked episode 2, but the same reason you were saying earlier to me as well. It's not
the Moriarty one.
The Moriarty one. It's not the best Black Mirror episode. It's just a really good story.
I liked.
It's a really good story. It's too predictable.
No, but I liked. I liked the first one because it was very Black Mirror-ish.
Right.
But like he said,
I
think the first
rehashed the same concept again and again.
Yeah.
First episode was so predictable. I was like, "Pehle 5 minute abbe, yaar, okay, that's how. That's how."
But when it came to actually, the actual concept of Black Mirror, where it shows technology, kind of taking over.
The Miley Cyrus one was interesting, I think, even though it's one of the most hated ones.
Yeah, I felt it was more of a Nickelodeon movie.
But it was fun. I like the kind of things they were.
The tone for that episode was all over the place. Do you feel like Miley was bringing such poppy and such
they couldn't decide what kind of mood they wanted.
It felt like those teen movies or the kid movies.
Not the best.
But I think they were actually intentionally going for that. I thought.
That's what I felt.
But it didn't work for me.
The director was different for that, and it was a different kind of feel to it. Even the style of writing was very different. Everything was very different.
I think the main thing that has kind of ruined this season for me was that they have lost their the selling point, which was their nihilism. The fact that I want to watch Black Mirror because I want to be disturbed. That's the main thing I want.
That's their strongest
from it. And that's what they did in the first 2-3 seasons, right?
But do you think they've run out of those concepts, or a lot of those concepts have actually now become reality?
I mean, they have become reality,
I think one of the
and both actually.
I think the most
say,
scariest episode was I think episode 2 or 3 of season 4 with the rating system. With
Oh,
Bryce
yeah.
Dallas
Oh,
Howard.
yes.
I think
And then
that-
China's
That shit has
implemented
become
that.
really.
and I was like,
Exactly.
holy shit!
When I watched it, I
Yes.
was like, okay, this can't.
No.
Be. And then a few, I think a year later
a
or
year
so, I read
later,
an
yeah,
article. I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh.
I would say that was one of the last really good Black Mirror episodes.
Yeah.
Like, which is like, like commenting on this technology.
I
and
think in
social
that
aspect
same
of it.
season there was one episode with the
Robot, the black dog.
no, not that one, with the military, where
Which
they're
one?
they're seeing people in different as monsters and as different creatures, and they're trying to kill them, but actually they're being.
Yes,
You know,
I like
okay,
that.
yeah,
I like
yes.
that. I don't think it's the same season. I think
It's the
season
same
3.
season.
Season
It's the
3.
same
Maybe.
season. The Black Museum was an amazing
Yeah,
episode.
that was season 4.
Yeah.
But what I mean, credit goes that
Yeah.
I ended up watching all 3 in
Episodes.
one night.
Yeah, same.
Oh really?
yeah.
I watched one a day. Like,
No,
I didn't have time.
I just
I
at
spent
night
my
I
youth doing that.
I was like,
और क्या करते
and
I
this
do
was
that?
this was now
January.
like this was on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Saturday, a few days ago.
Yeah.
So I was having dinner and I was like, I'd watch
Yeah.
something. I ended up watching all 3
Nice.
back to back. For me, it was each of them were good pieces of film or whatever,
Content. Yeah.
but not under like if they were released as individual movies, they would be interesting.
Yes,
Under the
absolutely,
banner
yeah.
of Black Mirror, I didn't like
You
the
expect
second one.
more.
I loved this. I loved the second one. It as a independent film.
performance.
It
Yeah.
was
Amazing
it was
performance.
great thriller. It was a good thriller. It
Even
was a
Topher
good
Grace
drama.
was not.
Yeah,
horrible.
Topher Grace was
I
actually
think
pretty
the
bearable.
second one could have been much better. The ending of it, especially if he had asked, because I was expecting, I was like hoping कि ये कुछ ऐसा करे.
What do you think happened in the end?
No.
By the way, spoilers. Like.
No. What I wanted to happen
Yeah.
was that the guy
Yeah.
would ask your Zuckerberg
Yeah.
to delete the platform.
No,
You know what I mean?
It's not,
You know, that would have been.
I
a
think
cake.
that would have
That
been
would be
really
in-
cliched. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah, of
that
course.
would have been really
Yes,
cliched,
but
you
it
know?
would be
Because
interesting
that's
to
what
see
that's what I
the
expected it
aftermath of
to
it.
happen.
What if Facebook actually disappears
That
and
would have
Twitter
been
actually
that
disappears?
would have been a great premise for another episode.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I don't
or
think like
you could
the
have ended
finale,
this episode.
'cause,
Yeah.
like,
It was in the finale,
yeah.
not the finale. Yeah.
I really think how it ended, where he's like, "Yeah, can you help
Yeah.
help my friend out a bit?"
Right.
Yeah.
Because like his
Yeah, that
work,
was a good
his whole-
detour to
his whole
like,
point
the
was-
direction too.
he needs to tell someone what happened. Like in the sense,
Yes.
who is the most responsible
Yeah,
person for?
yeah.
And again, what I loved about is like the dramatic irony. Like it's not the Zuckerberg's fault, the Topher Grace character fault. It's
Yeah.
you have the agency to
But
choose
also I
what you
love
do
I
and
love
don't
how
do.
like immediately you're like, okay, this is Zuckerberg. You know, it was like this is Facebook, this is Zuckerberg.
Well, there's Jack
and-
Dorsey as
and
well.
it
and
was-
YouTube ka kaun hai, Sundar
Yeah.
Pichai.
No, but this was
Yeah.
this was literally like attacking
Yeah.
Facebook
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
head
absolutely.
on.
Facebook
Absolutely.
has no.
Well, Twitter more than
YouTube
Facebook,
has
I would
now
say.
more than 2 billion users. Facebook has around I think 1.7. It's insane.
Yep.
1.7
There you
billion out of 7.5.
Yeah.
That's like 1 out of 3 almost I would say.
Mm.
3 people
Yeah.
on the planet
Yeah.
have an account on social
Well,
media.
actually, it's less because Pakistanis and Indians have fake accounts. 15 fake accounts at least, one person. So you can't count them, I'm sure.
Like, don't want to comment on that. But I would say
Right. Do you also have a fake account? I'm sure you do.
No.
Yeah, I'm sure you
who
do.
has the time to do fake shit?
Dude, I'm sure you do.
Why?
You're fake
what
news,
would I
man.
do with a fake account? तुम्हें छेड़ूंगा मैं.
Yeah, producer को छेड़ते हैं.
Huh? Why would I do that?
Yeah.
Exactly. Why would I do that? People get shot as well. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
People also people also get 2 episodes recorded and then don't edit or release
Oh,
it.
yes, absolutely. They waste.
Do you want to
they
continue
waste
down this
episode.
road, Mr. Producer? Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so for me the 3 of them were good, like independent. Miley Cyrus again was, if I was watching Nickelodeon and that was on,
Yeah,
it was a
of
good
course, of
Nickelodeon
I have
movie.
a thought. मुझे अभी दिमाग में आया कि I think what's the difference between season 5 compared to season 1 to 4.
Yeah.
Why they felt so cohesive and this is one standing out.
Even the fourth season felt a bit off to me, to be honest.
There were some episodes which were
Yeah.
like for me, like the Bryce Dallas Howard one and Callister as well was pretty good as well.
Yes, that was a really good episode.
I think this season, I think from season 1 to 4, they didn't give a shit about their audience. They told whatever episode they wanted to do. They didn't give a shit about the reception. They were in their bubble. They were making whatever they wanted to. This seems like a YouTube show. YouTube season, like they were like yeah, gaming, YouTube,
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah,
We'll just give
Facebook,
you more of that shit. Yeah.
So like I felt the writing to be more shallow compared to, it was good but more shallower than the rest of the season,
Because
like,
they started by setting the bar too high.
I don't think so.
Can't.
Like Bandersnatch is not an amazing episode, but it's a perfect
It's a great experience.
Black Mirror episode.
The whole experience of it is what makes it good.
Also, I mean, you just said something that's pretty interesting. For 4 years or 4 seasons, they didn't really care about their audience. And so do you think? I mean, if this was on mainstream television,
Netflix money.
Yeah, if this was on mainstream television, that model would never ever work, because you need to actually care about what the audience thinks for get them to watch the next episode. So do you think that's the beauty of being on Netflix, that you can do what you want and you will eventually find an audience for it?
I think yes, but I think it's a double-edged sword, because with Netflix if you can go full crazy, like the the Tropic Thunder dialogue, never go full retard like that one. So like I think this is allowing Black Mirror creator to go like, acha yaar badi kya karna hai, like aankhein band kar, because I think the Black Mirror started on BBC or something, right? It didn't.
Another
It
platform.
It wasn't on Netflix.
Yeah.
It came on Netflix after season 3.
Yeah.
It spent 3 seasons on a network TV show.
And those
that is
were
insane.
actually the first 3 seasons were the best ones.
It's
Actually,
kind of
the first episode of
BBC
Black Mirror is like probably the most disturbing episode of all time.
But it's also BBC, so they
and the Christmas special.
The Christmas special pretty good.
BBC has like very weird shows as well, which I mean they end up being really good. Again, BBC doesn't have that fear ke, if they lose viewers or something, because they are state-owned TV and they get money no matter what.
There might kuch to hoga, aisi baat bhi nahi hai.
I'm not saying
but I think
ratings do matter,
so
but
that's a nice conversation to have about कि यार Netflix पे आने का कोई नुकसान है या नहीं है. Because I've been hearing a lot, because I follow a lot of journalists and like the filmmakers of particular TV show creators and everything, and everyone is saying, and I have proof, like everyone is saying you're gonna be lucky if you go past season 3 on Netflix. Because what's happening with Netflix is even Stranger Things is coming in like less than 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Any hype?
Nope.
Any hype? It's insane. Stranger Things. What's happening with Netflix is because of that binge culture. We are burning out content like that.
Isn't that I mean,
It's,
what do you think? Isn't that a good thing?
It's a good
for an audience.
For an audience, but
for the audience,
we move. We want the next thing. We want the next thing. We want the next thing. We're putting Netflix in a corner that by you have to keep experimenting. And what used to happen in the network days, they used to like sprinkle content like every week. Acha yaar ye dekh le. Nahi acha bhi ye dekh le. They used to string out content for like 10 years.
But also, interestingly,
like sorry to cut you off, Jessica Jones is cancelling after season 3. Daredevil, all the Marvel, but
that's a different.
That was a different case. But there are so many shows. I would say I'm not feeling the hype for Stranger Things. There are so many other shows.
I mean, it was sad what they did with Sense8. For example.
Okay.
Yeah, that show was amazing, and when it cancelled,
and
there was a riot online.
And the sad
they had to
But so the interesting thing is when so what Netflix is recently doing is that they're the shows that network TV is cancelling. They're picking it up like Lucifer, Designated Survivor, and a few other shows, and then they're making just a couple of seasons, and then they're cancelling those. So so Netflix is basically just completing what Netflix, what network television is failing to. So they're just completing the series. नहीं देखे और हम लोग खत्म कर लेते हैं and let's move on.
Can I blow you guys' minds? Netflix as a company is older than Google.
Yeah, because it
yeah,
was
because the DVD rental
the-
thing,
the
right? Yeah,
DVD
of
rental.
course, yes.
I just saw it on like Twitter, like there was a
So
whole
so
page about it.
so initially when so
22
when,
years.
no, so
22
no, so when I moved when I
Yeah.
went to the US
Yeah.
to study back in 2009,
Yeah.
I subscribed to I came across this service called Netflix, and I subscribed to it, and I was like, it's interesting. But what the service was, they didn't have digital shows
Yeah.
or digital content. They had very little digital
Yeah.
content. You had to the more the majority of the content was in the on DVDs.
Yeah.
So you would select so depending on your plan. So if you had a
Mm.
plan for 2 DVDs at a time
Oh, okay.
or 5 or whatever, you would order, and they would mail it to you. You watch it. You
Yeah.
put it back in the envelope they give it. You
Yeah.
mail it out, and they'll send you the next movies in your queue or TV shows in your queue. And so that's how I started. I was introduced to
Manual
Netflix,
streaming.
and that's what I
The
that's what I used to do.
prehistoric age.
And and that was brilliant for me because I was
Yeah.
like, man, this is so good. Like
Yeah.
I'll get a bunch of movies and TV shows in the mail, you know, and I don't have to worry about it.
Is
And then just a year or so after,
yeah.
they expanded their library so much, and then they still had parallel. They still had their DVD
Yeah.
going on.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think
it
they
might
still do.
do,
They
yeah,
still,
yeah.
they
They
still
still
do,
do.
but it's very limited now.
Very
It's
limited.
Dude,
and the-
2.7 million Americans.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Actually, that's what I learned from the latest
so-
Patriot Act episode.
So
Yeah.
I remember I remember in the
About
middle. I remember in the middle Netflix announced that the DVD sharing thing,
Hmm.
they're going to separate it
Okay.
into a different company, and there was backlash against it.
Yeah.
People were like, we're not subscribing to a different you know
Yeah.
thing, and then they were like, oh no, never mind, we're
Yeah.
bringing it back
Keeping
again.
it.
But it was it's interesting how quickly Netflix has grown and not just become a platform, but also a content creation company where they're producing content, they're and
Distributing it to
distributing, and
6
then
billion or
yeah.
7
then-
billion a year.
and then within a span of few years, they have a
Destroy
presence all over the world.
yeah, yeah.
So it's amazing how
140
fast they've
plus
grown.
countries.
What I mean, one thing that I love about Netflix
Yeah.
is that everyone can find content for
Anything,
their liking,
everyone, yeah.
Yeah.
right?
There's so much
And-
variety.
and so-
Documentaries, bro.
And sometimes I see these original Netflix
Yeah.
shows and movies, and I'm
Yeah.
like, man, this is ridiculous. But then
Yeah.
you're like, I'm sure there's a following for it, and
Yeah.
and there
Or
is,
else
because they're not stupid that
There's a
they'll
whole
just
thing on
make
street
anything
food,
random.
for example.
I haven't
you know.
even
which is a
watched-
brilliant
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
I
yeah.
haven't even watched The Crown yet, and I've
Oh,
heard
Yeah,
it's
same,
really
same.
good.
That's a
man.
very
Yeah.
very
It's
good
like
show.
3-4 seasons of like insane production quality, Claire
Yeah,
Foy
yeah.
and like everyone. Like, I'm like, there's like, man, we like I was just thinking like in less than 10 years they have managed to output 4K HDR content to Pakistan.
And they have a new
Yeah.
series I just came across it called Jinn. I don't know if it's
I,
Turkish or
It's
something.
I just saw the thumbnail. I was like,
yeah, I know. I
Nope.
was like, not
Yeah.
my thing. And
Like-
Leela with Huma Qureshi.
"Nee, what happened?"
I just came
The
across
good
it.
thing
I
is
haven't
this.
watched it yet.
The good thing is like even Pakistani content is finding place on
Hmm.
Netflix, which is really,
Yeah.
which is like a good hope for content to
not-
get some money back.
The,
So do you think this
most
is-
quality
No,
content?
no,
but
but,
yeah,
but,
But
do
the
you
thing-
think
Yeah.
do you think this will as
at least cake is there. Cake
yeah,
is good.
no,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
as Netflix is starting to move into different markets, for example, let's look at Pakistan
Right.
for a second. They're moving into Pakistan, or not exactly moving to Pakistan, but opening up to Pakistan. They'll eventually start getting or demanding for more Pakistani content.
I think
So
it-
do you think the quality of our content will eventually start to improve?
I think that doesn't have to do with the fact that we might have a platform on Netflix, but it depends on the competency of our own filmmakers. It doesn't have anything to do with the opportunities they are given, because opportunity, I think a cake film आपकी है वो आ गई because well it deserved to be on
And
Netflix.
also
And yeah, it was
other-
amazing. It was
no, other
amazing.
movies are also there.
And there are
Thief
other
and
movies too.
Trouble and
Absolutely,
Alarm
absolutely.
Flowers
But
and
not all
those.
of them are
Deserve to be
good
there.
enough to be there. To be
But
honest,
that's what
Yeah.
I'm gonna say to you. I think you're treating.
you can't have something like Wrong Number or Wrong
No,
Number
I-
2 or
I-
you
But
know,
why
fucking,
not?
I think
you
I
know,
think you should.
on there.
No, I think
But you
it's-
should. That's
I
why
think you should.
don't you get, because those are movies that do well in cinema.
Yeah.
Did they
then
really?
They did. They made.
I mean, they did, but
Yeah.
you can't really
I mean,
say
Jawani
this is not
Pirniyani-
what Jawani Pirniyani is a damn good comedy.
Yeah.
You know, it worked on cinemas, it worked with critics, it worked
Yeah.
with every single person.
I mean, I wouldn't. I guess.
But yeah, but like if
some-
you're
some
talking about
movies,
some
yeah.
certain, maintaining a standard, because this is the content that's representing you in the international
So
community.
my point to what we're talking
Yeah.
about is there are two things when it comes to Netflix. It's Netflix originals
Right.
and then content on Netflix.
Yeah.
Right.
So your Tifa and Trouble and all these things, they're
These
not.
are content. Yeah, these are not Netflix originals.
It's not
No, no,
Netflix doesn't
No,
give.
so I'm talking about in terms of content being improved, or in terms of our
Netflix
filmmakers.
commissioning
commissioning
our
Our
filmmakers.
filmmakers.
I
That's a completely
don't
different
think.
story.
Yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen anytime soon.
No,
but
I'm not saying anytime soon.
Yeah.
Do you think that this will encourage our filmmakers to
This
improve their
better
content so that they get those opportunities?
Yeah, the thing is, so there are two. I divide our filmmakers in two categories. There are some established names, like you have, for example, Yasir Nawaz, Wajat Rauf, and all these guys who have made their films. Nabil Qureshi, Nadeem Beg. But then you have this new pool of emerging filmmakers
Yeah.
Kamal
from
Khan
these
and-
universities, for example, and Kamal Khan and Asim Abbasi who made
Yeah.
Cake, and that bunch of
Yeah.
filmmakers. You have these who can actually produce amazing content, and which is not only going to be accessible, like interesting and engaging for the masses, but also everyone.
Yeah.
And then you have these very, very commercial
Yeah.
filmmakers whose content I don't think
It's not made for you.
makes
That's
up.
the thing.
No, not just for me, but
Yeah.
like you ask the audience, you see.
No,
The only reason these films do well is because they are released on Eid.
No,
Trust me.
I would.
on
I
that.
would
That's a
disagree.
different debate
No, but
altogether.
I would disagree
Right.
and put the point of Bright. You remember Bright? Netflix original Will
yes,
Smith movie, trash.
Right.
Absolute trash. They're one of their best watched movies.
Yeah.
See,
People love trash. People love trash.
No, that's the thing. You're confusing the numbers
Yeah.
with the quality of it and its reception.
I
Like,
don't-
of course, everybody is curious
If-
to watch something.
so-
We would watch it. But doesn't mean that we like the quality of the content.
So what I'll say.
Numbers you'll get anyway.
Yeah.
That's the whole rage
Yeah.
these days. You'll get the numbers
and
anyway.
I think
But
Netflix
isn't-
is
yeah.
primarily interested in numbers.
Yeah, but isn't
well,
is it
Because
Yeah.
if you
isn't
like,
the point that there's content for everyone?
that's
Yeah.
where my argument comes in. You like Roma
Right,
came
right.
and like I don't think like 4 लोगों ने देखी होगी यहाँ पे.
हाँ.
Even in LA like
मैंने
people
तो
like,
2 दफा मैंने देखी, 2
Yeah,
और ने
तो
देखी
हाँ, तो
होगी,
like-
actually.
like-
That's it.
so
Probably.
hardly-
पूरे पाकिस्तान की
बस.
viewership यही होगी.
hardly
Exactly.
anyone saw that, but it still got the recognition it deserves.
Absolutely,
So like that's
absolutely. I think it
Netflix
should
is
have
a
been more.
platform for whoever
underrated.
wants to make money off
Yeah.
of that and bring more like
Right,
people to
right.
their platform. That's
So-
all what Netflix
So,
wants.
what I was saying was, if Netflix wants to, or maybe down the road, it can get like Pakistani original content. Obviously the most logical thing would be to go for the established filmmakers, but there is more talent in the new pool that's coming out.
Yeah.
Like someone like Asim Abbasi, who is already, I think, working on a web series.
Yeah.
Someone like Kamal Khan, who just made Lal Kabutar. Someone from these universities, man, they're amazing kids who
Yeah.
actually do amazing work. Ali Sohail
Jora.
Jora, this guy from, I think, Ikra University. Yeah, he's doing amazing work, making these travelogues, short films. They actually show his potential, and he can do a better job than most of the established filmmakers or the veterans who, for example, Sayyid Noor or these popular
We
names
won't
like
get
Sahil
it.
Lodi and all
We-
these guys. You
yeah.
can't give them a Netflix
Let's
original.
save some
Yeah.
other
You
names
know
for
what I
other
mean?
episodes to throw
Yeah,
under the
yeah.
bus.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure we'll have more time for
Yeah,
that.
but so what I kind of wanted to come about is that, I mean, that's good that Netflix is doing all that, but do you think that might get affected with all these so many different streaming platforms
Just
coming
wait
up?
for Disney Plus.
Because that's what I'm saying. Disney,
It's-
Apple, all of these guys are bringing their own. I think NBC also said they want to bring their own.
Disney Plus has the same opportunity to disrupt the market what Netflix did earlier.
Yeah.
Because Disney has so much money and so much content, and more importantly,
Right.
IPs
Yeah.
that we love. Star Wars, Pixar, classics, Marvel. Like,
Do you
it's
think
insane.
it's a
And
it's
for
going to
like
fade
what,
away.
$7?
Yeah.
Like,
No, but
half the price of Netflix.
but that's what
Do you
I'm saying
think it's
with-
going to fade away because there's so much of the same kind of
Netflix
content?
or
Disney.
No.
I think
They
in
have
5
all,
years, 10
all
years.
the money in the world. They can
of
back
course,
No,
up
no,
of
no,
course,
that's fine,
of
but-
course. In terms of
everyone.
content, like the monotony of the content.
No,
you know what I mean?
I've been following the Disney Plus service for a long time, and they're producing what 4 or 5 Marvel TV shows with Loki and like
Right.
Black Widow and they're not Black
I think
Widow.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the same,
Scarlet
more of
Witch
the
and all.
same.
Scarlet
But
Witch
but
and
that's what I'm
everything.
saying. It's the same. In the end, it's going to be the same content, right? It's going to be something from Marvel, something from Star Wars, something from Pixar.
Yeah.
So do you think that because in the end it's going to be very similar content, people? I'm not talking about
So
in the immediate future. I'm
so
talking about like
I'll give you an
maybe
example.
5 years, 10 years down.
10 years.
I'll
yeah,
give
exactly.
you an example. I think everyone needs their cash cow. Everyone needs like a Game of Thrones or a
Right.
Stranger Things
Yeah.
or a Disney Plus in the Mandalorian or a Star Wars ka sure looks pretty good. Pedro Pascal and
Oh,
Carl the Rocky
Okay.
what's the name yeah us bande ka Creed, Apollo Creed, the guy who played
Okay.
Apollo
Yeah.
Creed in he's in it as well. And so like I think every streaming service would need something like that people subscribe to.
mhm.
And after that they
They hook you
Aadha
with
kaam ho
something
gaya.
and then you.
then you
Yeah.
need the hook.
But
Yeah.
but then
Netflix is pretty far ahead when it comes to keeping you on hook because
Yeah, yeah.
honestly I really don't give a shit about the movies and everything jo
Because that's the
dusni hai.
thing, they have a variety of content.
but
With Disney,
yeah.
you're gonna hook me in with Loki, but then you give me like Jessica Jones or something, which is the same universe.
Yeah.
Like how
This-
do you
you-
keep yourself?
This is the reason why they're making billions and billions every year because of this.
No,
The
that,
connected tissue
no,
and
but
everything.
but I think the issue is, do I want to spend another
you will.
$7?
You will.
I will,
Hmm.
but for how long?
You will.
No, I know, but that's the thing. For how long?
Disney is 96 years old, by the way. The same
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, of course.
96 years old.
See, for example, I don't
So-
mind.
so,
I don't mind
yeah.
consuming Disney content.
Yeah.
For example, on Netflix, because once a series finish, I can
Yeah.
watch something else by
Something
someone
else,
else,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But when I'm paying $7
Yeah.
right now, and then whatever is going to be later on, after one Disney content
Yeah.
finishes, then I have to watch another Disney content, then I
Yeah.
would watch another Disney content, and
Yeah.
simultaneously I have subscriptions to Netflix. I might have
Yeah.
subscription to Amazon
Mhm.
Prime, to Hulu,
Yeah.
and I mean Disney's getting Hulu as well, so that's a different
Yeah.
story. And then Apple is starting their own streaming
Apple.
service.
Right.
So I might have that as well. And then I don't know. I think NBC said they want to start their own, so I might get that as well. So I mean, I'll probably be ending up spending what
100.
over $100 to consume that.
Easily.
Is that? I mean, is that going to be an economical thing eventually?
Navan,
It won't be.
you don't have to.
I know,
Choice.
But
That's
you will.
Yeah.
That's the beauty
No,
of
but-
the current state.
but I know that's
Yeah.
we have the choice, but also
Yeah.
It's
b-
gonna be
someone
like
someone
you
who
subscribe to Netflix for a few months, then you cancel it, and then
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
move on to
do
the next
that.
one. You probably
Unless-
do that.
unless I think we're in need of a service that you pay one person and
Oh,
then you get
yeah.
access
There was
to
actually, I think I
You
shared
love-
something with you. There was
You would
the
love that.
Envoy or something.
yeah, because that's
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
I mean,
The one-stop.
yeah,
thing.
because my thing is maybe we should have our data companies, our internet
Yeah.
providers
I think
should something what
That's
what
not
cable
yeah.
providers
Mhm.
did
yeah.
Right.
with pay-per view
Yeah,
TV.
yeah,
with
yeah.
when HBO came
Yes.
out, when Showtime came out, they gave out packages
Yeah.
that okay, get our cable and you can get access to HBO and Showtime
I think
and all of
YouTube
that.
TV not I no YouTube TV is traditional TV.
YouTube is traditional TV.
Not
No, no.
Netflix and stuff
And
like that.
they're very restricted.
I
as well.
think Apple is gonna do that. Apple TV is gonna do that because they talked about how to consolidate all the content on their Apple TV device
Yeah.
Right.
with the Apple Plus
Yeah.
subscription
Yeah.
service.
So that's something I would be more interested in.
Yeah.
Which again might also, I mean,
Well, talk about Amazon Prime. Like
Yeah.
they changed their focus from like high quality and indie productions to like big blockbuster stuff. Like they're bringing out the Lord of the Rings series and Man in the High Castle.
Lord of the Rings series, which is going to be the most
Most
expensive,
expensive ever.
show.
100 million,
Um,
right?
Jeff Bezos like bro ye lo
So,
paise.
so I'm
No, even more than that, bro.
I think 100 million.
No, no,
100
more,
million to
100
ye
million.
Game
I
of
think
Thrones
100
ka
million was
budget hai.
Cloud Atlas probably, like back in.
Oh, okay,
uh-huh.
No, so so recently I'm watching a Amazon show
Yeah.
called Good Omens.
Yeah.
No,
David Tennant for the wins.
Yeah,
I have not.
it's a. I know you don't like it, Essen. You don't like it.
I watched the pilot. I didn't got hooked. I was like, okay.
I found it interesting because it talks about. I mean, it's a very biblical thing,
Yeah.
but there's a comedy element to it, and there's a lot of.
What's
you know,
the whole
things.
thing about? Like,
So it's basically two. So one angel from heaven and one angel of hell. The angel that was also the serpent who tricked Eve into getting the.
Okay.
Concept is
Apple.
pretty cool.
The concept is cool. They. I mean they. So Eve and Adam they're sent to Earth now, and then these two demons or angel and demon
yeah.
are now sent to Earth to stay in Earth and stay there until Judgment Day comes or until the apocalypse comes. And what happens in the middle is that these demons have now planted the son of of Satan.
oh, okay.
They want to plant it into a human family. So the plan is there's an American ambassador, and
Yeah.
he's
Has to be an American.
Yeah, and his wife is having a child, and coincidentally they're giving birth in the church of
Yeah.
of satanic
yeah.
nuns,
Right.
and
Right.
so their plan is they would
They
swap
out
the baby. And what happens is at
Bro,
that
this
at
is
the
some
same
Star
no,
Plus
no, no.
shit.
So at that time at the same moment another family comes. They were having an emergency. They were supposed to have the baby the week after, but
Right.
it came early. So now the two families, and accidentally the baby gets
Oh,
swapped with
the
the
wrong
wrong
baby got
family.
swapped.
Yeah.
So for 8 years, these guys are following the wrong kid, hoping that he would be he's the
Spawn
chosen
of
one, spawn of Satan,
Satan,
who will trigger apocalypse. And what happens is over this time, over these thousands and thousands of years, where these angel and demon, they're David Tennant and what's his name?
Something James Marston.
No. He's a pretty big actor
he's
as well. Martin Sheen.
Martin something.
Martin Sheen, I think. They decide they like living in Earth and they don't want the apocalypse to happen. So now they're going and stopping the apocalypse from happening, whereas the other celestial beings and
Yeah.
they
Michael Sheen.
they want the apocalypse to happen because the prophecy has been foretold.
Right.
So they so there's
This is
there's a lot of
conflict between
there's a comedy of errors and all of that. So I find it a very interesting show, and
Yeah.
it's
It was the payoff good? Because I was hearing like the payoff was fine.
I'm on the last episode
yeah,
right now, so
tell me
let's
then.
I'll
How many
I'll
episodes?
tell you. But
How-
it's an entertaining
Yeah.
show to watch because
Right.
it's a very unique idea,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that's what I love about Amazon, where Amazon shows are kind of like that. Each show is very different and very
Yeah.
unique, and they bring in very absurd ideas like
Hmm.
Marvelous Mrs.
Yeah.
Maisel.
I love that.
The
um,
one you recommended.
Such a good show.
Even
Man in the High Castle.
Mine in the High Castle.
Jack Ryan. Jack Ryan was even good as
Jack
well.
Ryan was good.
Yeah.
Mozart in the Jungle.
Mozart in the
Oh,
Jungle.
yes.
Top Gear.
That was an
Excuse
amazing,
me.
amazing
So
show.
Amazon
Gear.
Amazon has also created its niche that
Yeah.
they'll have certain types of shows
Niche
and
is
they're
the
not
correct word.
they're not very
Is Mozart in the Jungle, is it still going on?
No, it's done. I think
it's done, right?
No, I think it's
Huh.
done, or I think
I
they're
think this was the last season, or the last season might be coming.
yeah, I think
Acha, I lost track of it.
Yeah.
Like,
I haven't watched it. I've heard good things about
it's
it.
it's really good.
Okay.
It's amazing. Yeah.
Nice.
So I mean, this is what I mean, streaming platforms do that. They're
Who do you think like so Disney Plus is coming in November. I think Apple
Yeah.
is coming next year.
next year.
So we'll have Netflix, Amazon, HBO, Disney,
Yeah,
and Apple.
Apple.
So it's like 5
Big ones, and
players.
then not globally, but Hulu is also. I mean,
who cares?
yeah.
Even though Handmaid's Tale was on,
Yeah.
but still. Who do you think
Yeah.
remains?
I think I think
It's
all
pretty
of
much-
these guys will remain.
The thing with Netflix
Um,
is it's reinvesting all of its money back, and they're not making any money. By the way,
I mean,
they're doing the Amazon model, what they did for their business.
but see, a company like Netflix, I don't think it's planning to make a lot of money back for a long time because the way they've
If
expanded.
that's the plan, then
Hmm.
I think they might
Hmm.
survive the hit.
Because I mean, a lot of these tech companies
Yeah.
and Amazon for a long time as
Yeah.
well, Netflix, and then you look at other companies like Uber and all of these
Yeah.
guys. They value, they work on valuing their
Yeah.
business so that
Yeah.
their stock prices
Yeah.
increase, and that's where their money is
Yeah.
in. So I don't think they really care about profit right now as
Yeah.
much.
Hmm.
I think they just want to be the
The
best and the
one-stop
most
shop,
innovative
yeah.
and and the
Just
brand
keep the
for
market,
it. Keep be
Like,
relevant.
I've heard like the Chef Show with
Oh,
John Favreau.
it's
I've
so
heard
good.
really good.
It is so good.
I
I tried
haven't
to watch
It's
it.
a really good movie
Yeah.
in like late
Chef is a brilliant movie.
2015 or
John
16.
Favreau.
I've
John
heard the
Favreau.
name, but I
Yeah.
haven't
I
watched
think
it.
Sofia
Yeah.
Vergara is also in it.
Yeah. And but the I mean the thing with all these
Yeah.
streaming platforms. Let's see what I know. Disney will survive. I know. Let's see what Apple does. Let's see what kind of content they bring in.
Apple is the most interesting one because they're doing so heavy into Hollywood, like the elite of Hollywood, and like Spielberg and like Jason Momoa and shit like that, Oprah and like I don't know who else.
Yeah.
It's gonna be they're also targeting a niche. I think that's what Amazon and
And also the one thing that Netflix has going against them,
Mm.
which I mean still won't affect them in that sense, that Amazon, Disney, and Apple, they have so much backing behind them that Netflix and HBO are kind of like
Yep.
isolated
Just
from
gonna-
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one-stop payment solution and stuff like that. Do you feel that Netflix and
Who's gonna cave in first for that? I think
I'm
that's
saying
an
not given,
interesting
but
question.
do you think they'll start compromising on their content or?
They've already
think-
done that. Yeah,
You think
Amazon
so?
Amazon
Yeah.
did that with the whole. They don't want to do any independent movies anymore. They're like, bring in Lord of the Rings, bro.
Right.
They've already
No,
done that.
but I'm talking about Amazon.
In terms of
no,
quality, right?
No. So Amazon's already has a lot of backing, so they can produce
Yeah.
expensive shows and all
Yeah.
of that. I'm talking about Netflix and
I think if Netflix
HBO,
starts
Netflix
like
and HBO.
skipping out on
Does-
indie, what would they have?
Does Netflix have any quality shows? Like when I say quality, like HBO, like Game of Thrones level.
Well,
shows.
They have BoJack Horseman, which makes up
Come
for
on.
more than half of any of the other content.
I
that's
would
out
have
there.
said like House of Cards, but that's not.
No.
anymore. Like,
BoJack is
no, like it.
a damn fine show. It's one of the
Are you
best I've
talking
ever
about
watched.
production quality?
I think I'll rephrase that. I think when it comes to like cultural phenomena type show,
Right. Well,
does
Can't-
Netflix have that? Because वो niche पे खेल रहा है अभी like Glow and
Yeah,
Stranger
yeah.
Things and shit like that.
Yeah.
And because
but no,
Amazon
not
is
really
going Lord of the
something
Rings, HBO has Game of Thrones, Disney has Star
had
Wars.
Game of Thrones.
But do you
they're
think?
gonna make
Yeah.
another one.
But
They're
but
gonna
don't
make
you
another
don't you
one.
think that's a smarter route for Netflix? Because I mean, so look at HBO.
Yeah.
HBO had Game of Thrones, and
Yeah.
for so many years, people were hooked to HBO
Yeah.
because of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
And now that Game of Thrones is done, they're struggling to put up
Yeah.
content.
I
To
don't
match
think so.
up-
They're struggling.
I mean,
course.
They're
they-
But
they-
doing
Netflix
pretty
has a
good.
steady
No,
thing going on. Yeah.
I mean, see,
without any.
I think we'll see the numbers in the by next year to
Yeah.
see how many people they've retained and how many
Yeah.
people have signed up
Right.
and all of that. But Netflix, don't you think it's a smarter thing that don't have such large scale productions
Yeah.
that people only come for that one show and skip out on
Yeah,
the other
yeah.
shows,
So-
and then after that you have to match the expectations.
True
of
that,
people.
because you have multiple things going on right now.
Like you
Yeah.
said, after Game of Thrones, they had Chernobyl to
Yeah.
kind of retain their
Yeah.
audience. But then, how long
What
can
next?
they keep on doing that?
I think Netflix. I think that's what I love about Netflix is no matter what, every week at least one title is gonna come that's gonna suit you.
Yeah.
It could be a documentary. It's gonna be a TV
True that.
show, movie, a special
Even like
event
a
or
short
something.
documentary or
Yeah.
something. Like
Yeah.
they released the Oscar-winning period.
Yeah.
The robot
thing.
love
Death
sex
and Robots,
like
yeah.
so like they can do whatever they want now. They're experimenting with like
Right.
10-minute episodes now. They
Yeah.
don't give
Yeah.
shits
something
about
like even Patriot Act.
Patriot Act
is like a
Hassan
great
Minhaj,
example,
what
yeah.
he's doing.
they don't they
Very
don't get-
informative,
That's-
educational.
And weekly. That's a
comic.
weekly thing. That's
Yeah,
not even
yeah.
a binge thing that you.
They don't even
By the way, this
care-
was the last episode, the one
Yes.
that released
This season?
yesterday.
Oh,
Now the next thing is
in fall.
in August.
Okay.
August. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like they don't even care too much about like Patriot Act that they're putting it on YouTube as well. They just
Mm.
Yeah.
want that word of mouth out. They
Yeah.
want to build that hype. They want to
They
bring that
actually
They want to
released.
build their brand,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and they actually released yesterday's internet episode
Yeah.
on the Netflix DVD service
Oh,
as well.
nice.
Yeah,
I haven't like
So-
that's gonna be
Yeah, I
an
need to
interesting
watch
watch, yeah.
because it's all about internet, and if you
Mhm.
Yeah.
don't have internet, how do you watch this episode and know
Yeah.
about the injustice that's
Oh,
happening to
okay.
you?
That's
So they
a
released it
nice
on a
meta
DVD.
commentary
Yeah, yeah,
on that show.
absolutely.
Yeah. Cool.
And I think what they do is something that Netflix doing, what we talked about before, getting a lot of the popular cancelled shows from network
Yeah.
television,
Right.
bringing them on Netflix, and and then giving them a closure.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
which is interesting. Like not
Putting
you're not
a
even
warm
continuing.
blankie on them.
Yeah, not even
Sleep, my
continuing,
boy.
just giving them closure, so that
Yeah.
no Netflix becomes the good guy.
Yeah, true that.
Yeah, it's like these guys,
Netflix,
these
yeah,
idiots,
that's
these
true.
bastards, they
Classic
killed our show
wrestling psychology
without the
101.
and then now they've brought them. They've given so with Lucifer bringing it back,
Yeah.
closing it with a nice last season. You know, designated survivor. They did
Yeah.
that, and bringing in the Netflix and each show they're bringing in, they're making it a point to tell people that they are a Netflix show. So I just finished watching Designated Survivor,
Yeah.
which was a cancelled show
Okay.
which Netflix got.
Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer
right?
Sutherland. They got, and in the middle they put hints. This character to talk. She says, "Oh, I'm gonna go home and watch Grace and Frankie." You know, a Netflix show. So
Right.
making it a
Right.
point
Yeah,
in their
they-
show.
they're
In
pretty-
Lucifer
Yeah,
also
they're
they do
actually
that.
doing that. Yes.
They're pretty good
Making
at
it
that,
a point that this
This is
is
on Netflix now.
Netflix. This is our show.
Yeah, even
We
in
are
Patriot
saving
Act.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Patriot. That's a different. That's
But-
a.
Yeah.
More,
But
I'm
still
talking
they're
about a fiction.
incorporating
Yeah.
in a lot of
They're making people understand that
Yes.
this is Netflix.
Netflix
We're
property,
yeah.
here. We will come and save you when other shows.
Yeah,
Other,
right.
you know.
Superman of TV
So
shows
yeah,
or
so
movies.
so it'll be an interesting war of the streaming networks when
Next year is gonna be a definitely
yeah,
war.
when all these
Yeah.
big guys come up and they
Yeah.
battle each other
Yeah.
and see what happens. I mean, hopefully,
Battle of the Bastards.
yeah.
Because
coming on
next year
again.
there's no Game of Thrones, there's no Star Wars, there's no Avengers, so they're like, it might be a
Field
dull
is
year.
empty.
Because like
It's open.
this year is probably the most insane year when it comes to like
Yeah.
Disney lineup.
Right.
Like all classic live action movies, Aladdin, Lion
Lion
King,
King.
Dumbo, and shit like that. Then MCU movies, Captain Marvel,
Mhm.
Avengers, and then Spider-Man and Star Wars Episode 9, Mandalorian, like the TV show. And so this is like a very nice tipping point for
Toy Story.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4. Like, goddamn. Frozen 2, wow. So like, even though I hate that, but like for some people, they're like, you have to do that. But I think next year is gonna be a really interesting year to follow the trends
Mhm.
of Hollywood and like
What's
Netflix.
picking up? I think it should give also original content some open field to
Yeah.
play with.
I hope
Like-
so.
Like
Yeah.
not just the franchises
I
and
hope
sequels
so.
and reboots
Yeah.
and all this blockbuster, BS, but like new stuff.
So speaking of which,
Yeah.
in terms of the streaming content companies, what are you more excited about? What shows or their original shows you're excited about?
I would pick David Fincher's Mindhunters
Ooh,
season
yes.
2.
I would
I've
pick
been
David
waiting for that for
Fincher's.
so long.
It's still not confirmed yet, but there's the rumors are it's in August, so not long.
Let's
Yeah.
hope the rumors are true.
Fingers.
Well,
Rahul?
David Fincher's Love, Death and Robots.
Yeah.
Of course, the next one, and Money Heist Part 3.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
coming out. Glow
Glow
season's
season
coming
3.
out.
Can't
Glow.
wait for that.
And then you have next year, you have obviously Lucifer.
So yeah, Lucifer. It's coming,
Yeah.
but I'm
yeah, what you're excited
I'm
about?
excited about Stranger Things. I know there's not much hype about it,
Yeah, sadly.
but I mean that's true for a lot of Netflix shows now.
Yeah.
They're not creating
Mm.
hype for a lot of
Jessica
these shows,
Jones.
and they're not really creating hype for new shows that are also
Yeah,
coming.
there's no promotional
They never
strategy.
do that actually.
Even
to-
for
yeah,
Black
any of
Mirror,
the
there was
shows.
no hype. It was
True
just
that.
came.
Black Mirror had some cult following
No,
from
it
beginning.
But
no,
that's-
but it was
that's
the followers
that's
not
itself,
a
new
right? It
thing.
was
like
yeah.
like similar to Afterlife. I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys
yes.
seen that show.
Absolutely
Like one of my
Yeah,
favorite new shows of 2019,
yeah.
and
Ricky Gervais,
hardly
yeah.
any buzz of that show. And as
Just
soon
word
as
of
it
mouth,
dropped,
yeah.
bam!
Yeah.
It just
Wait, I
exploded.
think
It's one
out
of the
my-
best written shows I've watched.
I think
in a long
Netflix
time.
Netflix
such a good show.
doesn't need to advertise most of the shows now because
They
they
have
know.
like almost
People will
200
still-
million subscribers.
Yeah, so I feel
They're doing
people-
their
yeah.
job. I'm doing their job.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
are doing their job.
So Stranger Things is something I'm excited about. Yes, now that you've told me Mindhunter
Oh,
might come, I'm now
right.
excited about that.
Can't wait
Glow
for that.
season 3
Yes.
I
Glow
am.
season
So
3.
let's see. A lot of new shows that have come that I'm currently watching. The Chef Show, which is very
Yeah, I'm
interesting.
probably gonna start
No,
that.
Yeah,
What's that?
it's nice. I like cooking shows and
Yeah.
I like all of that, so it's a lot of fun. But yeah,
You're hungry.
yeah.
Now.
Now that I've made so Chef Show say remember the
Food.
grilled cheese he made in the movie Chef.
Uh,
Now that Essen is hungry,
Don't do that.
let's-
Do not do
I
that. Do
haven't
not
even
do
had
that.
lunch, you bastard.
so on that note, let's end our conversation here, and I will see you guys in the next episode.
All right.
Bye bye.